morning, everyone. Welcome to Vedanta. We are going to start our program today with a song. They are located underneath the seat. Please turn to page 159. 159, the song is called
Masato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityurma amritam gamaya aviravir maheti rudrayate dakshinam mukham tenamam pahi nityam Namam Painityam Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness to light. Lead us from death to immortality. Light us through and through, and guide us evermore with thy loving presence. Om Peace. Peace, peace. So today, everyone, we are really pleased to have with us Dr. Timalsina. And I think we've sent his biodata, and he's become now a regular speaker, so he doesn't really need an introduction. He is a sadhaka, and whenever this is the time for mother to come. the Divine Mother. And whenever Mother's near, Dr. Timalsina seems to be somewhere here. Okay? So today he's going to speak on divine vibration. Dr. Timalsina.
For being here and giving me this amazing space to share some thoughts with you. Tava chaka kilana stutirambike Tava chaka kilana stutirambike Sakala shabdamai kilate tanu Nikhila murtishu me bhavadanvayo Manasi jasu bahi prasara sucha Iti vichinta shive samita shive Jagati jatamayatna vashadidam Stuti japar chana chintana varjita Nakhaluka chana kala kalasti me Mother, how can I pray you as your body is comprised of every single word? Everywhere I see outside and in my own mind, every single form is your own body. With this vision, Mother, whatever I do with mind and the body is all your prayers, as I have not done anything but to pray you. Abhinav Gupta from Kashmir, 11th century Shaivite philosopher. These days they have started talking about is Shaivism a separate thing and Shaktism a separate thing, Vedanta a different thing and Kashmir Shaivism a different thing, and this ism is different from that ism. You know, that's a kind of occupational hazard. If we do not accept these categories, we lose our jobs. The tender balance between being honest to yourself and also keeping the job lies in recognizing the play of the mother. This is her game, and once we accept it, it becomes normal. Okay, if this is your rule, I can play that way, you know. After all, chess, you know, if kids say, no, from now on, horses are rooks and rooks are horses. Fine, we can play that way. These theories, somebody asked me, but why does there need to be an absolute unity, oneness, like Plotinus called the one? Why not many, or why not nothing? That's also occupational hazard. Why not this? This is just therapeutic. These days we do philosophy to entertain our mind. Those days they did philosophy to liberate from the mind. And we make theories to appease to ideas to theorize. They made ideas to liberate us from theories, from ideas. Is there a contradiction? I've come to resolve this contradiction by the grace of the Mother. In this non-dual monistic, whatever, Advaita, Advaya, whatever the term you like to give it to, there are two types of experiences. We are trying to encapsulate in words the divine experiences of the saints who imparted their wisdom sometimes in words but mostly through direct channeling of their experiences beyond words. Some people experienced that in one specific way and others in a different way. If there is one reality, why is this experience so many different ways? One of my undergraduate students asked just this past week. My example was simple. If I go now to the East Coast and my friends, I see them playing out swimming, and they call me, I might say it's a little cold for me. I dive in, they dive in. They feel warm, I feel cold. My experience is also true experience. Their experience is also true experience. The water is the same. One says warm, another says cold. Depending on the state the sadhakas were before they plunged into this divine ocean of experience, people have reported differently. The thing that we only have a faint idea, a simulation of what it is, because we cannot take a picture of that thing. You can take your family to Lake Tahoe and not even see the sunset by just taking snapshots. But if you ever plunge into this divine experience, there is no snapshots to take. If you are taking snapshots, you are not there yet. When you come out, the memory is a reproduction of the past experience. Somehow the mind trying to cope up with something beyond mind that is destined to fail. I know my topic today is divine pulsation, divine vibration, Spanda. I'm just telling this to reiterate that this is one mode of experience, and if there are other modes of experiences, that would not contradict the central premise of Advaita either. The basic thing is like this. Some say all these tides are not real. These just appear due to the gravities and the storms and the wind and the rain, the bubbles, the waves, the tides of the ocean are just the names and the forms not even real. Just look at the ocean. That is real. Others say, oh, amazing, look, all these tides are so real, all the waves and the bubbles, all these momentarily appearing and disappearing in the same ocean, being one and the many at the same time. Is there a contradiction? I don't think so. The Shakta way the way of divine vibration is the way to acknowledge the waves and the tides. That is our life. I also like to acknowledge waves and tides when they are pleasant, when they are conducive, wholesome, and it's easy for me to acknowledge them as my own extension, my own manifestation. But as soon as I feel pain, I encounter suffering and tragedy and see the miseries in the world, the sufferings of the others that I cannot emancipate the subjects from. I like to somehow convince myself this all is not real, a perpetual denial. The best Shakta approach is to be able to see Bhoktaiva bhogya bhavena sada sarvatra samsthita. In the form of the objects of enjoyment, the very subject of enjoyment is manifest in all modes of time, in every modality of space. What this means is, when I see something, I call this something appealing, unappealing. I hear sounds, pleasant, unpleasant, smell, good and bad, taste, relishing and not tasty, touch, appealing and not appealing. These all are my own expression of me being in different modes. Just like enjoying is my part of being, suffering is also my part of my own being. The part that we are okay to acknowledge is our part as much as the part that is not something we are looking for or we want to acknowledge as our own part. The disgusting, the horrific, the negative, the tamas. Most people freak out. How can there be dark? And then there is a concept of the evil and the dichotomy and a battle, and we have to, separate from some kind of metaphysical evil, and these all presume an underlying duality that the subject is separated from the world, the God is separated from creation, and so on. Yasyonmesha nimeshabhyam jagatah pralayodayau tam shakti chakra vibhava prabhavam shankaram stumaha. A beautiful book, let me advertise, and no commission there. Spanda Karika. I kind of hesitated to, refer to these books before, because I thought that I might be misleading, because this may be very technical. But nowadays I hear people doing workshops on this book, and when I heard a bunch of workshops, I don't even want to go to the gurus and the students there. That's not the point. Then I thought, wow, I need to start actually referring to the text, because our audience in America is far more evolved and quite capable of actually dealing with actual texts. This book has only 50 verses, 52 including benedictory verses. within 50 complete sentences, you have an entire philosophy. Philosophy in the sense of the metaphysics, epistemology, and soteriology, a sort of how to liberate people from suffering. A complete philosophy in 50 stanzas. I don't think that things can get any better. So what does this say? The first verse I cited, I came with an intent, because this is like slowly when the time comes, when when there is the new moon time and you go to the beach, the tide starts getting higher and higher. The same way the call of the mother comes louder and louder when this Navaratri, these 9 days is starting tomorrow, and I'm invited for it. This is divine coincidence. Maybe this Swami's desire, but to me, I didn't even look into all these calendars. So there's this deep summoning of the mother. These 9 days, I request sadhakas to plunge into their own personal sadhana of experiencing the divine vibration within and without. The first meditation of encountering, experiencing this divine vibration is the first verse. The world is the opening of the eyes of Shiva, the diversity manifest. And the dissolution is the closing of the eyes. You can do that very easily because you open the eyes and you see the world, close eyes and just forget about it. Close also inside eyes. Forms, manifestations. These have really disturb people. How come, if there is diversity and that's also real, how can the oneness also be real? There's a contradiction. Why this is not a contradiction? That example I borrowed of the ocean and the tides fits very well, that actually seeing the tides doesn't make you negate the ocean. The same way you having mental states of pain and misery and pleasure and happiness, that does not constitute a real dichotomy. These are your modes of expression. Everything is always expressed in diverse modes. Horizons, somebody in the West calls that a horizon, a perception. Like the way you see me, and you imagine like if you are in this corner or that corner, a little further away, a mile away, or just right in front of my eyes, and all these images you would see would be very different. And also in time, like if I'm outside and based on the sunlight, the way I appear, one single thing is always multiple, infinite modes of perception. There is no into how many ways a single object can manifest at any given time. This is the power of manifestation, the power of consciousness. In this philosophy, what is maintained, Shiva, if you call Brahman, you call Shiva, you call the one, it is the same thing, that divine energy, the absolute one, is constantly vibrating, pulsating, and it fits well if you look in the cosmic level, that there is this vibration in the atomic level to the quantum level to the planetary level to the galactic level to intergalactic level to all the other things we don't even know about. Pulsation seems to be the basic fundamental principle of defining everything. Emergence how something completely new come out, like there was no consciousness and then voila, there is consciousness. What this philosophy says is there is no consciousness is a hypothesis that we cannot ever confirm. What does it mean? When I was unconscious, that is not a proposition. I cannot make that. I did such and so, or I don't know what I did. Because these are, whether we confirm consciousness or negate consciousness, we are only confirming consciousness. My negation of my being, when I say I do not exist, that statement itself is a confirmation of my being. When I say I am unconscious, how do I know I am unconscious? If I'm just babbling, that's a different thing. But if I know I am unconscious, I am not unconscious. That's self-contradictory. So the consciousness as the foundation is not something we can ever negate. And rather than starting from inertia, from matter that is exempted, expunged of being expunged of consciousness, we are starting from consciousness as the foundation and explain everything upward. How do we interpret something new emerging, different, some difference coming into being? This is why we call that these contradictory, apparently contradictory power of self-negation and self-affirmation are part and parcel of that very being, qua consciousness. When I negate, I am blocking my, if I'm everywhere and I negate my extension to that particular space, and that space belongs to Jah. And I see the other in the horizon where my own being has been negated. If I stop seeing the other as other, there is just an expression of your being. There is no horizon separated as my ego, and the horizon separated as the appearance, the object of my perception. This is non-duality, no logician can refute. The Advaita is not yet another belief. That's what kind of scares me out these days, when some eminent Advaita scholars work too hard to make it yet another theology on not grounded on reason but grounded on faith and belief. If you keep believing, it's going to happen. No. Your belief is good to strengthen your contemplation, conviction, so that it's not negative. But even if you don't believe, that doesn't mean that this ground is weak, that your logic is going to shatter. It's solidly founded on reason. Just because something is solidly founded on reason, you don't need to wake up every day and start arguing. It's not a blind faith. I'm trying to make a distinction. Like the first thing I do, like many of you do the same thing, not like chanting God's name or something, I reach out to my laptop, I'm sorry. So, just to check the news and all, right? And I don't need to argue whether this is a laptop and what if today it is not, no. But it doesn't mean that I could never argue. So there's a difference in a type of faith that's coming through repeated direct experience, and then we don't need to keep examining every day. This divine pulsation to me is the type of faith that is open to any type of challenge, but I don't need to keep questioning every day. Not because it is beyond questioning, but because I've questioned this so many times and I've never been able to see any loophole in it. intelligence. I have one friend of mine gave me a little pot of Rudraksha plant. In Nepal, India, we call that a holy plant. You know, we make the beads out, Rudraksha plant, and it's rare. It's really difficult to grow. It has like 10 leaves so far, something like that. I put it in the window next to my bed, you know, so I work right there and I can keep looking at it 6 hours a day or something, whatever I can. What amazes me is this tiny plant. I put it like this side is window and this side is the back, and then it had 2 leaves, one facing window, another facing this side, and the 3rd day it was doing like this, and the 4th day it was like this, because the window, you know, that's the side light is coming. And yesterday in the morning when I look at it, it was like this, and then I saw a cat in that, like a kid is looking through the window, and I just put a name sticker for it, Billu, you know, like that is cat. So I call it a cat. I mean, it's a tree, of course. But I felt like a cat looking through the window. And of course that's my imagination, and I'm not talking that a philosophy, but the philosophy comes here. The blue pigment is the philosophy. The photosynthesis is the philosophy. I give tiny water, no glucose there, 0 glucose, okay? And then I put it next to the sunlight, voila. The plant takes the sunlight in these green, tiny, ear-looking leaves, and then turns into glucose for the building block for the plant, and turns into other chemicals required for the survival. All the chemicals come out directly transforming the sunlight. Life begins right there. Our perception is, this is photon inanimate, this plant animate, is based on misconception. A simple chemical process that is able to change light into matter, light energy into matter, into glucose required for a building block for a life. A life comes out from the light, and we say it's just an accident. Maybe, you know, there is no life in the light. Of course, yeah, there's no consciousness out in the matter, because we can't see. Okay, I can't see the consciousness in anybody's head, you know. You all could be, you know, planted by some kind of monster to make a prank on me, like, you know, let us see how he is going to react, you know. I'm gonna make them look like Advaita loving people, and I'm gonna, like a simulation, you know. Consciousness is always confirmed subjectively. I can never turn into table or book and never say, okay, by the way, I know what it feels like to be a book, therefore the book is conscious. That does not happen. Consciousness is not a hypothesis that can be objectively confirmed. So this subject and object dichotomy is just like the dichotomy of the blue pigments and the light. This is one and the same thing, expressed in other modes, even pain and pleasure. It's a little bit of a vibration, just feel like, you know, like a little soft feel, and then if you rub like a little soft space and your tactile sensation feels good, and then the same thing, you rub in coarse space and you feel pain. The same vibrations, when they go in higher frequencies beyond our capacity to feel or tolerate, then we feel pain. It's a matter of interpretation. interpretation of the same being in different modality. One thing can express itself in infinite modes, but the way we interpret it at any given time can vary, can be different.